Good morning. Hey, we're reading Deuteronomy chapter 9. Let me roll this window out. Sorry about that. We need a little prep before you record something, Skip. Okay. Hear, O Israel, you are to cross over the Jordan today and to go in to dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourself. Cities great and fortified up to heaven, a people great and tall, the descendants of the Anakim, whom you know and whom you heard it said, who can stand before the descendants of Anak? Therefore, understand today that Yahweh, your Elohim, the Lord your God, is he who goes over before you as a consuming fire. He will destroy them. Bring them down before you, so you shall drive them out. So you shall drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord has said to you. Do not think in your heart, after the Lord your God has cast them out before you, saying, because of my righteousness, the Lord has brought me in to possess the land. But it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord is driving them out before you. It is not because of your righteousness or your uprightness of heart that you go in to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of those nations that the Lord your God drives them out before you, that he may fulfill the word which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Therefore, understand, the Lord your God is not giving you this good land to possess because of your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people. Remember, do not forget how you provoked the Lord your God to wrath in the wilderness from that day that you departed the land of Egypt until you came to this place, that you have been rebellious against the Lord. Also in Horeb, you provoked the Lord to wrath, so that the Lord was angry enough with you to have destroyed you. When I went up into the mountain to receive the tablets of stone and the tablets of the covenant which the Lord made to you, and I stayed in the mountain 40 days and 40 nights, and neither ate bread nor drank water, then the Lord delivered to me 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of God, and on them were the words of the Lord had spoken to you on the mountain from the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant. Then he said to me, arise, go down quickly from here, for your people whom you have brought out of Egypt have acted corruptly. They have quickly turned aside from the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded image. Okay, so that's all the way to 12. 13 starts out with furthermore. So I'm going to pause right there because that is a whole lot to deal with. And so it says today is the day that they're crossing over the Jordan. Okay? So, he is reminding them that the only reason they're getting this land is because the main thing is the inhabitants they ain't doing right. I mean, they're out of line. You know what I'm saying? And then because God the Father knows, he's not bound by time. So like he knows what you're going to choose to do. You know what I mean? And he knew that these people would be out of line, and he made a promise to Abram, Isaac, and Jacob to give them the good land. And then he's rebuking these people. This is many generations later, and they have a certain way of sin that is unacceptable to God. And in this moment, he's pointing out that, hey, the way y'all are doing what you do is unacceptable. However, because I made this promise, I'm going to keep my word. You know what I mean? So it's vitally important that we learn the ways of operating, the ethics, the integrity, and all this kind of stuff is natural when we love somebody. You know, when I love somebody, I'm not going to harm them. You know what I mean? If I'm over here in such darkness and, greed and perversion and all this kind of stuff, even if I love somebody, I'm still rendered unable to act accordingly because of my sin, because of my prejudices, because of my perversions, because of my greed and all this other kind of stuff. So we see in the New Testament where Jesus is explaining, put God first, and then love everybody. Then the golden rule. You know what I mean? The golden rule is love my neighbor as I love myself. Well, if I didn't put God first and establish his way and standard, then it's impossible for me to love somebody. Okay, so I can't naturally fulfill the law. However, that statement does sum up the whole and entire law. So I find myself sitting here today. Here it is, Saturday. I'm supposed to be resting. I had to go 2 blocks for these people to load, and the people were unavailable yesterday. They're available today. They won't be available again until Thursday of next week. And then there's the opportunity for some volunteer work to help people in a disaster. And yeah, I'd like to go help out with that or whatever. And I've been working really hard, so I've got the finances covered for this month. So and it's en route. And then I'm like waiting on a background check to come back or whatever. I don't think those people work on the weekend either. Anyway, so I was sitting here, I thought about the 10 Commandments. I was going to look that up, and Dennis sent me a thing about healing. That was real good. I read that. And then I was flipping through, and I found that in Deuteronomy. And I thought, man, how much do we need to understand that God is blessing us because of his righteousness? Because of how good he is why we have abundance. And in our abundance, we cannot get a big head and think that I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I am not doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not loading the trailer right now. I'm not doing all the paperwork or nothing else like that. I'm sitting here talking to the phone on the dash of the truck. Okay, but somewhere along the line, because of God's righteousness, and only that, I qualified. There must have been some kind of ought not and sin in this land that I was given, and based on his righteousness, just he's pointing out here. He's like, y'all are stiff-necked people. He's like, you guys are stubborn. You're not gonna do it. You're not getting this reward because you did right. You're stubborn. You did not do right, but because he made a promise. Okay, so if we look at this deal, like, what did he promise us? What did he promise the Jew? What did he promise the Gentile? On what authority did he establish these things? And then it brings into question, what's he capable of? If the security guard comes up to me right now and he's like, get out of the vehicle, put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest. I'm like, no, you don't have the authority over me to demand that. You know what I mean? And if he proceeds, whatever, enact violence upon me, I will respond with overwhelming violence upon him, because that would be appropriate in the moment. I'm going to defend myself, and being out here in New York, they got fake cops. So I don't think it's very prevalent nowadays, but back in the day, you really had to watch out. Anyways, I don't know why I bring that up. Oh, because the authority. Okay, so God's the ultimate authority. The earth is His house, His rules. The Torah and the Old Testament laws, that is God's outline and description of how to act appropriately in literally every situation in life. You know what I mean? And a lot of that's very technical, like, a heart surgeon needs to be very technical when he goes in and does like puts a stent in an artery, or if someone is doing international commerce and they got to set up a contract and go through customs and border checks and tariffs and all this kind of stuff. Like, there's so much nuance to the logistics and getting that paperwork right, to, like, this product's going from here to there, and 30 countries worth of a little bit here, a little bit there comes together to make a car. It's just, there's a lot of nuance there that has to be done appropriately. You know what I mean? So how much the more when the creator of the universe is like, this is how you hold a church service. This is what day to do it. I mean, this is like super basic. You know what I mean? And the more I go back to the basic, the more I find myself going back to the rock. You build your house on the foundation, on the rock. You know what I mean? So I guess today I just want to point out the fact that God fought and won these battles for these people because He said He would. So what battles are you facing today? Did God say He was going to take care of that? You know what I mean? I said a preaching last night, the guy said something about, you got more faith than Jeff Bezos. And I was like, Amazon messes up my order every time. Like, I'm free from that. Like, I literally have more faith in my prayer to God than I do in ordering something off of Amazon, because my orders from Amazon don't show up. I was on the phone with Rocket Mortgage yesterday due to the lack of receiving emails or paperwork or anything. They charged me $3,700 for insurance. And I'm like, I have insurance. Giant fiasco. And they have systems and departments, and one, the right hand don't know what the left hand's doing. They can't communicate with AAA. Are you serious right now? Like, how's that even a thing? How's a corporation that big as AAA Insurance, and they cannot get a hold of Rocket Mortgage, and then Rocket Mortgage says that they've contacted AAA repeatedly, me repeatedly, through email and physical mail. I've never received a letter. I never got an email, nothing. I got an email saying that the insurance they put on my house is tax deductible. And I'm like, that's when I started looking at, that's the only way I even do. So they're supposed to call me back Monday, and that's just like regular business, you know what I mean? And in that moment, I'm talking with those people. The first time I talked to them, I was incredibly irritated. And the second time I talked to him, I was like, how can I help these people connect the dots and make their business better? Because, I can't be the only one that they've had this problem with. And looking online, there's several people that have similar problems. So I'm like, how about I just solve this problem for all of them? You know what I mean? Like, just by being like, well, why is this like this? And listening to the lady talk, and be like, okay, well, maybe you could take this to upper management and talk about this, that, and the other, or whatever. I just, offering them, sound solutions to the situation, and they're gonna review some stuff and give me a call back or whatever. And am I going to change the world? Yeah, one conversation at a time. And if that's what it takes to get to a basic level and get down to the heart of business and instill the ways of my Elohim, you got a better plan? I mean, that's for real. Like, for real. You got a better business plan to do it and instill God's ways in your life, in your business, in all your contacts and relations in the earth, whatever, however you're relating. act appropriately. No, I got the graceful blood covering through the atonement that Jesus, Yeshua, however you say that, the Messiah went through horrific death to save a wretch like me. And I am a wretched, evil man. I have sinned, and we all have. And in my ministry, this church it up, in my ministry, in my time in the penitentiary and understanding what repentance is, paying my penance and repenting repeatedly, off and on, for a grand total of 7 calendar years spread out from, 13 to 36. I called it life on the installment plan. And going in and out of those places, and one of the main things was like, if you're in prison, everybody there's a criminal. How is a bunch of criminals going to get together and talk about God and become righteous? Well, it's real easy to admit your sin. You know what I mean? You're in prison. So you're out here in the world, and you've boxed yourself into a prison with your sin. And that's physical, that's metaphorical, that is 100% in the unseen realm. And God's going to do these good things because He said He's going to. Not because you're good. Like, you can't earn it. And then you're going to walk in His ways as you grow. And then you're going to find out, oh, well, one day you're just like, okay, cool, I'm like not drunk. I'm really winning. And then you find out all this other stuff, and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I need to up my game. And then you find out some more. You're like, oh, wow, I need to up my game here. Like, I'm really letting down Jesus. Like, His name's Yeshua. Like, there's power in the name, and I don't even know this guy's name. I don't even understand what day of the week I'm supposed to take a break, or why that's even a big deal. And when's it appropriate to, not take a break? These are all major questions. These are all major failings. And as I struggle to try to be appropriate and try to overcome my sin nature, I go from being some kind of animal to some type of the creator of the universe's kinfolk. You know what I mean? So, nothing too heavy. Nothing too heavy. We're just loading some tires. God bless. I mean, if this don't get you fired up, you want to talk about deep thought, deep water and everything, everything in my life was leading up to this moment. Because I call that the past. And now I'm right here in the present. And over there's the future. So everything in my life is leading up to this moment. That's a pretty accurate statement. So in this moment, I want to make it appropriate, graceful, and pleasing in the sight of the Creator. You know what I mean? And that's how I break it down. There was a question about how do you pray without ceasing? You know what I mean? It's like, help me with this, help me with that. The His eyes on the sparrow type of deal. The birds, they don't work, it says, but they got food. But I've seen a bird build a nest, so that sucker was working. He's doing his part, and God provides because He said He would. Not because the bird's a good bird, but the bird's still got to make a nest. And funny little side note here. This lady says to me, she said, every now and then a bird is going to poop on your head, but you don't have to let them build a nest. You know what I mean? Life is going to throw you a curveball. Oh, $3,700 surprise. I don't have to be mad about that and scream, cuss, pull my hair out, blah, blah, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going to get shit on. Expect it. You're going to get shit on. Expect it. But don't let that build a nest and set up shop and just, you know what's at the bottom of a bird's nest? A lot more shit. A lot. And I mean, I'm gonna try to quit being gross, but it is gross. Our righteousness is filthy rags in the sight of God. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? I don't care how good the steak is. One of the things I say is talking about the new earth. I use the description. It doesn't matter how good the swim. It doesn't matter how nice the swimming pool is. If one person shits, nobody wants to swim. You know what I mean? So, and that's an accurate. I'm thinking about that movie. What is that movie? Weekend at Bernie's or whatever? No, the other one. The golf course movie. What was that movie where they had the Snickers in there, and then the guy goes in to get it? He's like a Snickers. He's like coming out of the water, and he takes a bite off that Snickers. Everybody else thinks it's a turd. Caddyshack. Caddyshack. There's a good classic movie for you. I was going through it, and I see these people that are going through it, and I know I can help. And then I'm like trying to work this situation, like how can I help this, that, and the other? And it's like, how can I get back to my wife I haven't seen in 3 weeks? How hard is that for her? You know what I mean? And I'm supposed to take a different route that way I can get some Bibles because I'm out of Bibles. I even gave out all the testimonial stuff. I even gave out the track. I got 1 track. I got one last. No, I got 2, 3, 4. I got a love story. I got There's One Way. I got 2, How to Get Rich. And of course, all this stuff talks about, this is beginner level stuff. You got to have the right tools. I'm not going to use a pipe wrench to try to change the brake lines. You know what I mean? I'm changing the master cylinder in a 94 Chevrolet. I'm not going to use a pipe wrench. I'm going to use proper tools for the proper thing. You know what I mean? I don't want to use a crescent wrench. And then with the right tools, I mean, you could get it done. I mean, like, you could chew the end off of some electric wires, big old chisel jibs, and just, skin them wires and twist them together. Hope it don't short out. Get home with your brake lights. Or you can actually, have a pair of, crimpers and, some of that little heat stuff and slide it on there, clip the nail, strip it, slide it, put it, twist it, put it over there, heat it with a lighter, tape the sucker up after the fact, put it in a little sleeve, keep the ice and snow off of it. You know what I mean? There's different levels to fixing the brake lights on a trailer. But here comes my guy. I guess I gotta go. All right, Raquel, say a prayer and enjoy your life. Honor God today. That's what the Sabbath is for. Raquel.